Hello boys and girls, welcome to this presentation. In this presentation we're going to talk about Unit 5. The key point here is talking about translation. Now, a translation is a type of transformation. A translation of a 2D shape is a slide across a flat surface. To describe a translation, give the horizontal movement, then the vertical movement. Now, to understand this key point more, I will show you an example how translation works. But first we have to understand that translation means moving an object without changing it. And when you describe a translation, you have to say how did you move it horizontally and how did you move it vertically. Now let me show you a question and you'll understand what translation means. Question 2. Describe the translation that moves each blue shape to its image. As you can see here, we have the shape, which is in blue, and the image, which is in white. And the shape moved from here till here. We call this translation. And to describe this, we have to say what movement happened in the horizontal line, and then what kind of movement happened on the vertical line. Now, for example, let's take A here. For example, let's say this is 1 centimeter. Or we can say 1 on the axis itself. Now here, shape A moved 1 on the horizontal axis and then 2 on the vertical axis. Now, the movements, we have 2 types of movements on the same axis. We have the positive movement and the negative movement. What does that mean? It means, for example, if you're moving on the horizontal axis here, you have 2 sides. You have this side, which is the positive side, and you have this side, which is the negative side. So if you're moving on this side or to this side, the movement is positive. If you're moving to this side, it's negative. Same thing for the vertical axis. Now, the vertical axis, we have 2 kinds of movements. We have this side and this side. This side is positive, and this one is negative. So if you're moving, for example, to this side, the movement is positive. But if you're moving to this side, the movement is negative. Now, to describe more, let me show you an example. Here, shape A moved to this side on the horizontal axis. And this side means very good, negative. So when we describe the horizontal movement, we're going to say -1. Very good. And then we describe the vertical movement, which happened here. It moved 2 to the negative side. Very good. So it's going to be -2. Very good. And this is how you explain or describe translation. So you're going to say -1 horizontally, and then -2 vertically. And you're going to use a vector to write that translation. Next video will show you how to use a vector to describe that translation. Now, using the vector, we'll use the same steps. You'll describe first the horizontal movement and then the vertical movement. Now, let's take another example. When you describe a shape, you can talk about one of the points, for example. You don't have to describe the whole shape. You can describe one point. For example, this point is the same as this point. So you're going to talk about this point. And what happens to this point is the same that happens to this point. Now, let's take B as another example. Shape B. When you take a look at the shape B and the image B, and what happened between them, you have to describe it as a translation because it moved from here to here. Now, to describe B, you can use one of the points of B. For example, this point here. This point is the same as this point. You can't say this point is the same as this one. That's impossible. Because all angles are the same and all points are the same from or between the image and the shape. For example, this one is the same as this one. Nothing else. Now, to describe what happened to this point, you can use a line, draw it, for example, from here till here. Yes. And then it went from here to here. Now, to describe this line, first we describe what happened horizontally. Now this point went from this side to this side, so it went positively. Very good. It went positively. So the description will be positive. And how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. It went 6 steps positively, so positive 6. And then vertically it went up, so it's positive 2. Very good. So vertically it went positive. Very good. And then 1 centimeter. Very good. So positive 1. So we describe the movement of this point, which is the movement of the whole shape. And using a vector, you're going to put it in a bracket. That's it. Because on the upper side here, you described the horizontal movement. And the lower side, you described the vertical movement. And because it went positive here and positive here, we said positive 6 and positive 1. Very good. And this is how you answer a question like this. You can do the rest of the shapes with the same idea. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.